It's a well-established fact that South Africa is a 4x4 country and that South Africans generally like their large, bold SUVs. It's also a fact that value for money is a very important consideration when it comes to South Africans selecting the vehicles they're going to be spending time with. This is the latest generation Chevrolet Trailblazer, a large SUV available in 4x2 and 4x4 forms, and a vehicle that expresses a very strong sense of value, which means that it should be a very successful vehicle in our market. Indeed, the Trailblazer has achieved around 150 monthly sales since first launching in 2012, but that's still a lot less than the segment-leading Toyota Fortuner's 800-plus tally, which perhaps explains why, 2 years after launch, the Trailblazer has undergone a bit of a makeover. When it comes to styling, SUVs are generally a generic bunch. They're generally large and wagon-like with a raised stance and a fairly bold presence. But having said that, the Trailblazer is unmistakably a Chevrolet, and it has the bright work, the bow tie and the character to prove it. The Trailblazer range still comprises 5 models, spanning a petrol and 2 turbodiesel engines, a choice of manual or automatic transmissions, and a choice of 2-wheel or 4-wheel drive. But both the 2.5-litre and 2.8-litre turbodiesel engines have been upgraded and now offer more power and more torque. One of the most significant changes to the 2014 Trailblazer is to the interior, and the first thing you notice here is the grey leather, which really looks very smart and very sophisticated. And on that subject, also very sophisticated, in fact very high-tech, is the so-called MyLink system, which is a way to get your cell phone in various ways to interact with the entertainment system and a touchscreen in the centre here, and you can actually get to do the normal things like hands-free telephony, for instance, but also you can link up to the internet with your cell phone using a cable. You basically really just go to the home page, you go to smartphone link, you then choose an internet radio station app like TuneIn, for instance, and up comes the station, the music that's playing, and it really does sound quite good. Plus, of course, in a lot of instances, no advertising whatsoever. Overall levels of standard equipment on the top-spec LTZ model featured here are extensive, while space and versatility also count among the Trailblazer's talents. One of the key attractions of many large SUVs is the capability to offer a third row of seats. In other words, to theoretically accommodate up to 7 adults. The Trailblazer no exception, and as you can see, it has a fairly substantial third row of seats. I have to say, legroom not the greatest, and I'm not really the tallest person, so I suppose best to look at these as occasional seats, maybe better used by children. And of course, the other negative of using these 2 seats is that you lose a lot of luggage space. But of course, if luggage and cargo carrying capacity is a priority, all of these seats actually fold flat. The middle row actually tumbles forward, and what you then end up with is a very large, very capacious space that'll take all sorts of gear and kit. On the move, the 2.8-litre turbodiesel-powered Trailblazer feels lusty and muscular, easily shaking off the inertia of its 2-ton-plus curb weight and responding eagerly to throttle inputs. The auto gearbox is a good choice, delivering seamless changes and generally making the most of the urge on offer. Nobody buys a Trailblazer because they want to go fast, because they're interested in something with great performance, or even whether they're concerned about fuel economy, because this is a large and heavy car. But what it is spacious and utilitarian, it's all-wheel driven, and it can get you places where many others just simply won't be able to go. And that's really the reason for being. In terms of straight-line performance, it certainly is brisk enough. This turbodiesel engine with 144 kilowatt has lots of oomph, good tractability, and certainly overtaking never a problem, even with a load on board. Top speed probably around the 180 km/h mark or so, but that's not what this vehicle is about. It is great from a towing perspective, with a towing capacity of almost 3 tons. That gives you an idea of just how much grunt this vehicle really has. Comfort on the road, pretty good. Noise levels about as good as you're likely to expect, and because of that 5-link rear suspension, you'd be surprised just how well this vehicle handles in a mountain pass. Even so, it's off the road that the Trailblazer really impresses. The 4x4 system features a proper low-range transfer case linked to electronic traction control that works without driver intervention and gets the job done. A particular highlight is the suspension, which soaks up the rough stuff and provides a composed and comfortable ride. The market for large SUVs is a very competitive one, but it's also a market dominated by the Toyota Fortuner. By introducing a series of updates and upgrades, Chevrolet is hoping that the Trailblazer will be able to grab a larger slice of that market. And having experienced the car with its more power, its better interior, and that really interesting and involving infotainment system, you have to say that the Trailblazer is definitely a better vehicle than it was before. That big turbo diesel delivers all the grunt one could wish for, while the 4x4 low range and an auto box add to the Trailblazer's go-anywhere appeal. Add the smart full-house interior with its clever MyLink infotainment system, and there's little to fault here except for vague steering and a lack of engine refinement.